Hello there, and welcome to the Shrewsbury Biscuit podcast. I'm Alex Whiteley, and joining me in a minute is going to be Jules. She's a biscuiteer. She's running a bit behind. I have to start this because we're on a deadline. It's just crazy. I'm doing a podcast one after the other. But this is part of our Biscuit Open Studio sessions. And joining us as a guest is Kevin Horak, second time on the show, author, and a great guy. How are you, sir? You good?
All right. I'd never heard the term biscuiteer before.
It's very quickly sweeping across Shropshire and the world. I have you know.
Really?
We are biscuiteers. Absolutely.
Yeah, it sounds good.
It's fine.
So you can add on your CV, isn't it?
Yes, absolutely. In fact, it's very much needed on a CV. If you've ever been a biscuiteer before, it doesn't matter if you've done the Duke of Edinburgh. This is.
Yeah, that's nothing compared to this. Yeah, absolutely.
Right. Okay. So, what have you been up to recently? I mean, obviously, we spoke to you about Mildred and the crazy cat lady. How's things been going since then?
Yeah. Okay. It's been a strange year, hasn't it, for everyone?
Yeah.
And so, a lot of the author events that was going on this year, of course, they've all been sidelined until next year. So, the book tour that I was doing and sort of the book signings and things like that, all of that's all been sort of shelved till next year. So. At the moment, I'll be working on a new title, and also we're doing a second edition of the Mildred book, and so I have a new editor on board now, and she's very passionate about it, and a screenwriter, and she does a lot of screenwriting work for the BBC, and so she's hoping to put together with me a treatment together for it after the second edition has been finished, and so I think that's going to be released probably March, April next year, I would think. And so once that's done, then there's the other book that I'm writing at the moment, and then there will be Mildred book 2.
Okay.
So keeping busy.
I mean, when I spoke to you, the first time, I'm still kind of learning my trade, I guess. And when it comes to speaking to authors, there's a way of interviewing people, and I've definitely learned as I've gone along. But I've spoken to some
mostly last time. I'm not sure we got much done.
No, we're too busy trying not to swear on that episode.
Yeah,
strategically.
Jules failed that. Yeah. She did. That's why you get the Mayor's Award. And I don't suppose she got one, did she?
No, she didn't. No, it's all mine. It's all mine, baby.
That's why. I'm professional. She swore.
Yeah, absolutely. She does deserve one, though. She works hard. But no, when it comes to speaking to authors, there are ways of speaking that I've learned along my way. And one of them is when you have an idea and a book idea, and especially if you want to, turn your book into a series. We spoke to Brian P. Easton, who did Autobiography of a Werewolf, very famous series of books. And I asked him, I said, these series of books, did you know when a series is going along, what's going to happen in part 1, part 2, part 3 is already inside your head, or do you just make it up as you go along? And he goes, no, I know exactly what's going to happen throughout this whole story, and I've known since I was in school. And I was like, oh wow, what's it like with you? Do you already know where this is going?
No, absolutely not. No, this particular book was written off the cuff, and so this sort of splurge came out, created this whole world. And although I know some of the things that are going to happen in the next book, there's a lot more that needs to be revealed with the characters and their origins, and this the premise of the story of Mildred, who lives in Shrewsbury, being given a cat by a stranger on the premise that she joins this cat club. But it's no ordinary cat club, and so it's this league of women who have met behind closed doors, going back to the times of ancient Egypt, and so you've got a lot of mythology references, Greek mythology, ancient Egyptian beliefs, and so there's still a lot of study and a lot of research to be done with that. So although I know some of the what's going to happen, there's still a lot more that needs to be developed, and certainly for the end game of it all.
Nice. Just joining us now via satellite is Jules. How are you? You all right? That was a mad scramble, wasn't it?
Yeah, sorry. Everything's really on a go slow today, computer-wise.
Isn't it right? It must be something in the air. Because I finished an interview. It's kind of like, yeah, Mr. Whiteley will have your audio ready in about an hour and a half. Just sit down and make some tea. Like, I can't. I'm on a deadline. How you been? You all right?
Yeah, fine, thank you. Yes, yeah, very busy.
Me and Kevin were just discussing the fact that the reason why I won a mayor's award and you didn't is because you failed the strategic not swearing thing last time.
I'll be very careful, obviously.
Yeah, it wasn't easy when I've written a couple of comedy books, which is called Jim, Word Rhymes with Banker,
we won't go there.
And then the following up, Drive-In, Word Rhymes with Banker, to discuss those and the merits of these incredible
I think
certain stories. It's not easy.
A fun game to play would probably be like keeps mentioning those names, but use a different word to rhyme with that word every single time. You're not allowed to use the same one. So you've used banker. Next time I'll mention tanker. So that's taken out now. So whenever we mention those books, you got to think of a word that isn't banker and isn't tanker.
You know, we've created our own language here. Okay, we'll give that a go.
Yeah, absolutely. What was the feedback like from Mildred?
The book was released just over a year ago, and the real drive was for March onwards. That's when all the author events were kind of planned, and of course that all got sacked off. And so you then kind of have to social media as much as you can. But the feedback generally has been very, very good. I think it's got about a 92% approval rating. So yeah, very, very happy with that. But the new version with the new editor, the second edition, is remarkably changed, and so completely different start to the book. We're going a bit more in depth with some of the characters, and typically for the things I've written and write, it's full of sarcasm and very dark humor, and so I think we'll probably have some more of that in there as well. So Jolly's good.
I missed the beginning, so obviously you've been talking about the sequel that's coming out, which was, I know I'm keen to know, because I literally probably finished reading the book. It was quite a long read for me. I took quite a while reading it over quite a period of over a couple of months. But yeah, once I got in, I got really hooked. And, especially like you say, the dark, I won't say too much to spoil it for anyone that hasn't read, Mildred at all, the first one. But when I finished it, I was like, right, so I want to know what's happening next now. I want to know what's happening with the again, I won't say, but, know.
Well, I'm glad you enjoyed it. The difference is when I wrote the Jim Lanker book, is there such a word as Lanker?
There is now.
Right, okay, good. I say we create our own language. The perspective is that took a week, and that was sort of a week written in a pub, writing that book. Mildred took 13 months, and it's 156,000 words, and so it is quite a long read. But when I was talking to Alex, because you missed the start, now I'm working with a new editor. It's actually not the second book; it's the second edition. So.
Right. Okay.
And so we're making actually quite a lot of changes to the book that you've read, and then the second book will come thereafter.
Is this like the Lord of the Rings extended edition type thing? So you add a bit more detail onto things, Well,
what I say to people is keep the first edition. So if it ever becomes a major success, you'll be able to flog it in the future. So because you've got the first edition complete with the 4 typos in it, and so it's purposely done.
Picture as well, haven't I?
You've got a what? Sorry,
I've got a signed copy as well from you. So
you do, and it only took you a year to read it. So yeah, nice one.
I have a lot of books on the go at any one time.
It is hard when you we're in the situations we're in because I've spoken to authors, and a lot of time I don't get a chance to read the books. I still haven't read Mildred, and that's not because I didn't want to. It's because I'll cover Mildred, and then I'll have another.
Got better things to do.
There are situations that happen in life, like for example, I remember I gave myself 3 days to read a book for a host that was coming on, which is doable. You know, I've done that before. I've read a book in a night for a show, but it was I read when I'm in work, and work was just a nightmare for those 3 days, and I didn't have time to read. So I was kind of like, oh my god, I was actually going to read it. That's not fair. But at the same time, I appreciate the genius that goes into writing, because we spoke about it last time about how I've got a book inside me. I always talk about it. It's very cliche for a guy in his 30s to have a book in his head, but it is difficult for me to sit and just be inside my head writing, because there is a lot of that when you are like concentrating on how you're setting the scene, writing it, using it, you're inside your head, and it's not a comfortable place for me. It sounds really weird, psychopathic type thing to say, but hats off to you for that.
It doesn't actually. It really doesn't. And writing, so I've written 4 factuals, and Mildred was my first fiction book. Writing factuals in comparison is so much easier. And when you're creating something from scratch, and so, I might be talking to people and suddenly my mind will go disappear somewhere because I think, actually, I could do that. That'd be a good idea, because it's something you're creating and it's constant. And so when it actually gets finished and put down, it kind of feels like, kind of take a bit of a breather. And because it is constantly there and it's constantly evolving, because this is a series. And so I'm working on it later today with the new updates. And then when we get into book 2 later into next year, it'll be the same process again. It's difficult, and it takes up a lot of your headspace.
Would you compare it to, because you're a guy that's been around gyms for many years and stuff, would you compare it to the motivation that goes into working out? In some respects, if you don't do it, it won't get done. Yeah. And if you are like what you're just saying, the amount of times I talk to people and say, "Oh yeah, I'd like to write a book," but actually finding that time is one thing. Putting it down as something which you hope people would enjoy is something else, and actually then putting it all together, it's a very long-winded process, and it requires complete commitment. And if you've got it all rattling around inside your head, if you don't get it put down, if you don't get it written down, it will always be there. Mm-hmm. So it is kind of a similar thing, in that respect. But in terms of Alex, you read in books. If you read the Jim Anchor book, you can probably read that in about 10 minutes. That's the difference. So no excuses next time. No.
That is true, because I know obviously with Mildred, it did take me a long time to read. However, I did read Jim Hanker and Driving Ranker. I read
Ranker.
both of
Ranker.
those.
That was Ranker, by the way, guys.
Yeah, it was close, yeah.
Yeah, it was a ruh. But so I read those 2 because, like you say, they're quick, easy reads, aren't they? It's whereas I found with Mildred, you had to get in to understand. It's not just about it was all the different characters, it was the names, it was the elements away from there's this crazy cat lady, and then all of a sudden there's this whole cult or sect, a completely dark world that's all a bit secret. And and that's a couple of times I kept putting it down, saying, I'm gonna have to get my head around that another night and pick it up again. But I think probably once I got going, I then didn't put it down. So it took me, once I got into it, I was then reading it every night until I completed it. So, but when's your second edition due out?
Well, I think it's probably going to be around about March, April, I would think. By the time that's finished, and then of course it has to be typeset bound and everything else, and there's going to be some new artwork as well. So it takes a little while.
Yeah, not as long as writing the whole book, though, I imagine.
No, actually, I'm struggling to think of words that rhyme with banker.
I've already written all of them. I've written it all down.
Yeah, I've got a pen now. Yeah,
I'm a grateful thanker.
Oh, very good. Yeah.
Love it.
Hopefully, no, it won't take as long. No, I think this process, the editing process, is taking place over sort of a 3-month period, and because it's a big book, it takes a long time, and also it's not just a case of the editing, but there are some changes that are being made, and so there's rewrites going on, and so it's a long process. And when you put the book down a year ago, to then come back and revisit it, and it's kind of it's great because the story is now, the new version is so much better, but at the same time it's very exhausting because you put it down a year ago.
Yeah, I was going to say, what made you do a second version?
Good question.
Right. I mean, is that something authors do generally, or?
It really depends, because the first one was not edited professionally. This was something that predominantly that we kind of did in house. Then I was introduced to this lady through a mutual friend, and then when we sat down and discussed it, and she read the book and then said, "Look, we could do this and we could do that, and take some more aspects out of this character." And when I met up with her and we sat down together, I thought, actually, this could, the thing is, when you're writing a story, do you get the best out of it? And, particularly when you want to sell it to international markets, there's, which is something which, we haven't even pushed on yet. So, in fact, I do know authors that do that. It's not a rare thing for there to be first edition books out there, and then when you look at subsequent versions, there are actually changes that have been made. That does happen, but in an ideal world, no. But now, having gone through this process and from meeting with her and discussing some of the ideas, I just thought, you know what, actually, this could be really good. So, and also because of her screenwriting background, the opportunity then to go and pitch it to be made into a moving picture would be obviously an amazing thing.
Ooh, I like the idea of that. Before we get onto that talk, because I do want to talk about that if we can. If you could get anyone to read your book on Audible, who would you get to read it?
Well, that's a very good question. It have to be female, because it's all female characters. I know that Joanna Lumley's got a copy of it at the moment. I think she would be very good. She's got a wonderful voice. Let me think that one over. But, yeah, I'll come back to. I don't think Meryl Streep's available. She's busy. So it have to be a great British.
I think what's her name that played Khaleesi?
Yes, I know who you mean, and her name's just gone out of my mind. But yes, I know who you mean.
Yeah. I'm gonna look for this now. But yeah. So yeah, talking about a screenwriter and putting this onto the big stage. Who would you use someone to create a cast for you, or do you have a cast already set in mind?
Oh no, it's very, very early days, and so
I mean, hypothetically, if you're ever gonna,
even if you get the pitch, you then have the developmental budgets, and to develop then what will be the screenplay version of the book, and so that means bringing in other sort of creative people to help with those things. But if Jules has read the book, if you're going to be set the story exacting, this is not something that's going to be very cheap to make, and because of the locations, because of the mythology, all of the effects, it would cost an enormous amount of money to make it, and so in that respect, it would need to be put forward to the larger production houses. So, but believe it when I see it. But very, very, very early days. But it's nice to have some of the right people on board now.
Amazing. Emilia Clarke is the actress, by the way.
Yes.
Emilia Clarke.
So, yeah,
I think she'd be great. Jules, so when you picked up this book, did it take you by surprise? Is it weird knowing someone and then reading their book and having that voice inside your head? Does that make sense?
Well, it was really weird actually, because obviously having met Kevin and obviously, I've done our interview and then read the other two books, the short story books. I can't think of any more rhyming words for the minute, so I'm not going to say.
Have we said hanker?
Danker. There you go, Danker.
Hanker.
Having the other two.
Yes, Danker. Yes, Danker.
Danker. The other two Danker, non-German books. And then going into that one. It was quite interesting, actually, because when I was reading it, I was trying to think, okay, whereabouts in Shrewsbury is this? In my head, I just kept having bits of Shrewsbury come up. And then when obviously it goes off to the house, I kept thinking, where's that? How far away from town is that? It's not very far. Where is it? And then that's when you're trying to, in my head, I'm thinking, right, well, where would Kevin do that? Where would he be putting that? So,
well, Loxley Manor is the secret mansion, and that's in North Wales. That's right, in North Wales, and that is actually defined. You must have missed that bit, but that is actually defined as in North Wales. And the three streets, which are the main focal points, are Rock Road, Bembo Street, and Darwin Road. They're the three roads which are fictitious roads in Shrewsbury, which is kind of where she is, where the futility pub is, where the stranger man runs his grocery
shop.
runs his shop. Yes, and we have Mr. Ablett and his train set, and
Well, that's it, and that's when you're reading that, you're trying to associate it then back within town, and that's what I was trying to do, was trying to associate stuff back within town.
The only town place that is really nominated, also defined in the book, is the Coach and Horses pub, because they have a meeting. They have a meeting in the Coach and Horses.
Yeah.
But I've already got other places in town in mind for the second and third book.
Oh, okay, cool.
Because I want to try and continue to use some of the heritage of the town within these books, and I think that's certainly with friends of mine who live in Middle America. They're fascinated by our pub culture here, and also the Georgian Victorian heritage, Tudor heritage that the town has to offer, because they don't have anything like that. And I just think that I really need to keep bringing these things in, because it's what this town has to offer. When I initially started writing this, and just everything seems to be so London centric, and I just thought, no, I'm not going to do that. We live in a beautiful town. Let's feature it here.
Yeah, exactly.
And so why not? Yeah.
And if it did go to sort of production, that was the bit I was trying to say earlier, and I don't think you guys could hear me speak, and I wanted to ask the question then. Would you see it as an animated
definitely
picture,
not.
or so would it be real cats sort of, and then
I see.
or would the cats be the animated bit? What would it be? Do you know what I mean? How would it work, given that you've got cats and humans in it?
Well, yes, that's right. So
and other type things.
Yes, and other things. Yeah. So you have the human world, you have the beast world, and all those things have to be kind of CGI. And it will be the same for the cats.
What's Salem doing from Sabrina the Teenage Witch? Is he working still? I mean, he might be.
I think unemployed. And so but all of the cats in this book are with the exception of a couple that live in the streets, are all female, and that's the point. All of the characters are female, so Salem might need to go under a pseudonym.
Absolutely. Hello there. Welcome to the story of my life. What's it been like for you during lockdown? Obviously, the life of a writer is quite. It's one that's isolated anyway. Really, if you think about it, even if you're in a pub, you're stuck inside that laptop, aren't you? Has it been any different for you?
I think that when you look back, that everyone is going to have a story about this year, and none of it is positive. everyone has had a struggle this year, and so myself being no different. And so, although that the authoring has been quite difficult, but I also, I think, as you may know, I work full time as a DJ and author now, having resigned or took an early retirement from the bodyguarding business, which I was in for 20 years. And so, but of course, all of that was cancelled. So in actual fact, I then started going back to some of the close protection businesses that I know. And so I've been sort of doing some consultancy work for them. So strangely, it's one of those businesses that I don't think you fully leave. And so I've been sort of doing that as well. So consulting for a few companies.
Good to have someone to fall back on, though. What a thing to have to fall back onto as well.
Well, it's 20 years of knowledge in a business like any other, and so I'm helping a few companies with sort of their business development now. Although it was a business I stepped away from a few years ago.
We had the guys from Connect Security on the last Open Studios. They're a great bunch of guys. Me and Stu go back years, and I was talking about. I was a kid working at Asda. I had no experience. Do you know what I mean? But even that, I learned so much. So ways to deal with situations. It's actually a really good experience because it is life experience. When you close protection, you learn from those mistakes and you learn from how you talk to someone or how you responded to something. And I think it kind of helps in life, really.
It's a business I learned so much from, and I also learned that life's too short to work with politicians. So I'm not going to be doing that any time again soon. Having done a few spells at Parliament, but it is, and it's you can do all the training that you can. It's a dedicated lifestyle, but at the same time that you can't learn from a book and just from generalized street life and environment if you haven't got any common sense. Yeah. And if that's something that some people have, some people haven't, and you just can't teach that. And it's a business that requires an awful lot of common sense as well.
Have you ever thought about writing your memoirs?
Well, I've written 2 books on the bodyguarding business, but they were training guides about the lifestyle, the dedication, etc., which had mixed reception, particularly from my competitors at the time. But no is the answer, because although it's a business kind of really I've stepped away from, I have an awful lot of respect for it, and to then go and write about clients, I think is a betrayal, whether they're living or not. I think is
that was the Paul Burrell thing, wasn't it? He kind of just turned on the palace, just kind of like, there's this that happened, there's this that happened, and everyone's kind of like, what? Hold on, where's your loyalty?
I'll choose my words carefully. I think he's a horrible cretin of a man.
That was the first example I could think of as someone that's done something like that.
Yeah, and Diana's in the news, and again,
exactly.
And so he's popped up, and it's actually in all these times of doom and gloom. Sometimes I have a look now. What's trending on Twitter today? So
the Shrewsbury Biscuit, of course. Open Studios. I wrote a tweet earlier. It's got to have gone viral. Oh, Alex,
no, in actual fact, no, it's not. It's Harold Shipman and Jimmy Savile. So that's enough Twitter for today.
Yeah, there's a documentary being made, I think.
We're going to be doing that by today. I think that's a betrayal. So I wouldn't ever do that.
Thing is, like you say, with situations like that, people move on anyway, don't they? Even your clients that you helped, managed, and associated with back then, they might have been going through different times. They might have been better now and they're worse, better then and worse now, or vice versa. Or like you say, they might not be with us any longer. But what they were in that moment of time is that moment of time. And I don't, I think, like you say, it's not even so much the betrayal. It's people are in different places at different times for different reasons. And to be writing about those situations isn't an invasion of privacy, but I think, like you say, also I suppose your words about you betraying them as clients, but equally, it's People do it to make money, don't they? They do it to get
It is,
their own
it is.
little bits of limelight that they want to get for whatever.
It says a lot about the integrity of the person as well. And, you know, this is a business that is as old as any other business. I just think that when people do that and they write books about these things, that you're then leaving others to pick up the pieces of that. And so, you know, my former company, which I ran for 17 years, our client base was our major client was royal families, foreign royal families, and grade A status famous people. And I just think that, I think betrayal is the right word to. So I still wouldn't discuss these things about those clients now, and I certainly wouldn't in the future. And I may have moved on, but it's not an appropriate thing, and I really have a dislike for people who do that.
But you've got this now, haven't you? You've got Mildred.
I've got Mildred. That's right.
Mildred,
left all of that well behind, and I've got the Crazy Cat Lady. Yeah, that's right. and Jim. Oh dear. See, Danker. Is there such a word as that? We've had Danker. Jim.
Frank. We've had.
I thought she said it then. I think you nearly said it again.
No, I didn't nearly say it. I did not.
Well, it started selling again because it's coming up to the Christmas period. So people buy them as Christmas presents. So I was just having a look on Amazon earlier. And,
well, it's a Shrewsbury-based book as well, isn't it? So locals, if you're listening to this, guys, Mildred, the Crazy Cat Lady, it's a Shrewsbury-based book. So if you're living in Shrewsbury and you want to something, if you've gone out and already bought that Monopoly game that everybody's talking about, that the Shrewsbury Biscuit, you've already got that. Then there's another thing there. There's this amazing book.
I think it's definitely in Waterstones in town, but I don't think the shop's open at the moment, of course, because we're locked down.
No.
But if not, it's Waterstones online, W.A. Smith's, Amazon, of course.
Can I ask a question about your because obviously DJing's another area that you specialise in, and obviously doing events or getting out to parties this year has been obviously a challenge for people in that industry. And like you said, have you been doing anything online to sort of share your music? Because obviously again, we've had the other local lads, the 90s revival team, Dave and Benno, have been doing what they've been doing. But have you done anything like that or thought to do anything?
I chose not to, because I know Dave and Benno very well. Also Rob Mulliner has been doing his, and they're all great guys and have played for a long time. You've also got some good house sets that are being played live as well. And for me, if I was going to choose a music style, then I'd probably do like hard rock sets or something. But right now, I've kind of been focused on other things, and the guys are out there doing that already and doing a good job of it, and very popular too. Yeah. So no, it didn't actually kind of really, to be honest, really appeal to me to do that. But I was fully booked all summer, all summer. So of course, all of that went. Of course, that then pushes some of those bookings into next year. So next year, of course, will be very busy, but it's going to have a knock-on effect for a couple of years now. Some of those things.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
I was just going to add, you saying about Waterstones being closed and what have you. I was just going to add, instead of going to Amazon, maybe have a look at Penguin Books, because they've got a new online shop there. I don't know if they stock your book. If not,
they don't. No, they don't. So
maybe give them a call and be like, "Here's some of my books."
Get them to.
Yeah, get them to.
Local author here. You need to be stocking his book.
But buy that one off Amazon. The Mildred. Have you got a website where you can sell it from? Somewhere local. I'm trying to push people away from Amazon.
So the organisation that Mildred joins is called the Cat Chamber, and that's spelled with a K. And so catchamber.com is the website of the Cat Chamber, where they dispute everything that's said in the book. So it's sort of a secret organisation. So, but you can get it from there, and your little Mildred mugs and bits and pieces. So,
But if you do,
catchamber.com. Or kevinhorak.com.
Absolutely. And if you do want to support local, go Penguin Books on their website because it's great. It's I think it's uk.bookshop.org/shop/Penguin Books. I just want to support local as well as well as you, sir, of course. Have you got a sequel in your head to this book?
Very much. But very much after the second edition's done. Yeah, very much. Because everything's set around pyramids and pyramid shapes, so there's lots of hidden meanings and puzzles sort of throughout the book. And so Mildred needs to progress up this pyramid. So in actual fact, it's not going to be just a sequel. It would probably be sort of about 5 or 6 books, we would think. But it's too early to say because although Jules has read it, the main bad guy in it, and the heritage of where he comes from is very much in relevance with Egyptian culture about life after death, and sort of bringing some of these things sort of back to life. And I remember somebody saying when I mentioned this and said, "Well, yeah, the book actually has this underlying current about life after death." And I thought, "Well, that sounds very depressing." Well, no, not at all. Religions have been founded on these beliefs. You study spiritualism and Buddhism and all these various belief systems. There could be a lot of strength in those things for many. So I didn't really kind of share that comment or that view, but there's a lot that needs to be kind of brought to life, which ultimately is going to end in this kind of war between good and bad, and all starting from little Mildred in Shrewsbury.
You can take your own philosophies from any story or any sort of franchise, really. Whether it's Star Wars, whether it's Die Hard, I don't know, whatever you're into, you can take.
And of course, at the right time, Die Hard, the perfect Christmas film.
Absolutely. Of course. We're not having this argument this year.
Okay. So you believe that? Sorry, when I mentioned it to my fiance, Die Hard, great Christmas film. It's not a Christmas film.
Oh, it is a Christmas film.
It is a Christmas film. There's Christmas trees.
It's at Christmas, and he's trying to get home for Christmas.
And he writes ho 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 a machine gun.
Yeah, exactly. And he's got the gun stuck to his back with wrapping tape.
There you go.
It's a Christmas film.
We're not having this debate in 2020. We've had too much to argue. We've done this every single year on social media. You see the same post.
It's all gone to pot this year, so Christmas can bugger off along with everything else.
Well, Kevin, we're coming up to the time when we've got to sort of start wrapping things up.
We haven't swore yet.
No, we haven't swore yet.
Jules. We haven't swore yet.
No.
I'm not saying a word.
That's why you don't get the Mayor's Award.
Yeah. We were talking, actually, we did a test call earlier, and he was like, Kevin was like, I'm surprised it's not on a frame behind you. And I was like, I'm going to get a Flavor Flav chain and put it around my neck and just walk around with it. My mate.
You're not going to start nicking the, what was it, the Volkswagen logos off of cars, wasn't it? It was the VW logos.
Yeah.
Bring back Run DMC. Beastie Boys.
Mr. Mayor. Thank you for the acknowledgement of that. Is there any sort of anybody you want to shout out, sort of anything you want to tell people about on the podcast?
No. It's almost difficult to say because it's just been such a challenging year for everyone, and so I think we're just all sort of trying to get through it. And I think last year I was hospitalised for a week with an infection. I won't go into it, but the NHS staff at Shrewsbury were just amazing. I was quite difficult at points when I was very unwell, and I just kind of think that had we known then what we know now, the pressures that these guys must be under is just enormous. So I went back to the hospital in, I think it was February this year, to sort of thank the NHS staff who kind of looked after me, and I was sort of giving them books and et cetera, and it was lovely to see them again. And so I think thanks to them, I think that's the thing. Thank you to those people who've worked incredibly hard this year.
That's
and
nice.
so
Nice.
it's just difficult to know quite what else to kind of say, really.
And it's one of them. It's like, here's your chance to just talk about anything you want to talk about. Hollyoaks was all right last night, wasn't it? You know.
We could talk about films or the debates the merit of Die Hard being a Christmas film.
Here's the thing, I want to, because we did this last time. We did we got you on the Biscuit, then I got you on, it was Thorskin at the time. Now we'll get you on Newsuck. I want to get you on What's the Difference to talk about. And I mentioned to Tom Bruno, as I said, Kevin wants to come on the show, and he's like, hell's yeah. Let's get him on the show. Let's do this again.
I'm a hive of useless information and scandal. And I just think we should do a late night Biscuit, like Shrewsbury Biscuit Certificate X. We should do a late. We should do like a
good idea.
We should do a late night one, and then we don't need to worry about Jules and her potty mouth, and we could, just talk about whatever we want to talk about, and don't worry about offending too many people.
Well, that's what you sucks for, you know. Yeah.
Well, yeah, definitely up for it.
Yeah, we'll do that, and I'll get the book read. Actually, I'll get the book read before then because I have had no. I'm my situation at the moment. My whole life is in storage, including that book. It's I'm paying for 2 storage units.
I've got a copy you can have.
Yes, send it me. Or if you've got an e-version, send it me, and I'll get it read for when you come on Newsuck because I really would love to. I do feel guilty for not reading. I do genuinely because I believe we're friends now. Do you know what I mean? And I should have done that a while ago. So yeah, well, I'll get that read. We'll get you on What's the Difference, and I'll make Bruno. Is there going to be an Audible version ever made?
There will be at some point. I haven't done that as yet, but once the second edition is ready, there will certainly be an Audible for it. Yeah,
because that's how
I've had a few people write to me saying about the Audible version. And then actually a lady wrote a review for the book on Amazon. And then she messaged me independently just saying that I didn't realize you could do this, but she bought the Kindle version of it. And then there's an Alexa button which will read it to you.
Oh.
I imagine it's very robotic.
And
the man walked into the room and he picked up a lantern. And he
she said to me that the voice didn't have a great deal of tone, but she's a professional runner, and so she said that she would be listening to it while she was jogging or while she was running, and people were staring at her. She would constantly stop and break down in laughter while she was in the middle of going out for a jog somewhere. And but I didn't even know that function was available. But the Audible will come next year. But I wanted to be entirely happy with the story first of all. So so there we go. Yeah.
I was doing that yesterday. I was editing yesterday, listening back to my own show. My wife sat behind me over here. She's working on the phone and stuff. And I'm writing away. I'm typing away because I'm doing emails as well. And now and again, she'll just hear, just randomly. She's just looking at me like, "You're an idiot, Whiteley. You're laughing at your own jokes." She knows what I'm doing. Kevin, you're always an amazing guest to speak to, and I know you've had a terrible year. I really do. I do sympathise with people that have tried to release something new or do something new, or open a new business, write a book. Beth Heath, try and do new things, new ideas, new festivals, all these sort of things. And stopped. I really do feel for you, and I really do.
It's difficult for everyone. Yeah.
I know. I know I've got a feeling deep inside me that 2021 is going to be one of the biggest years in history. I really do believe so. And somebody was saying it's going to be memorable. I don't think so because everybody's going to be drunk.
Well, I don't know. I don't remember a lot of lockdown, actually, to be honest, because there's nothing else to do. Yeah, I don't think when the binman used to show up at our place because it gets a little embarrassing when you can't actually lift the recycle bin. So I figured out that the lights of my street go off about sort of 11:30 midnight. And so then all I do is I then slip out and then start putting bottles in other people's bins along the road. So when the binman shows up and he just, oh God, here we are at Drunk Street again. It's going to be heavy lifting all this lot. So yeah, lockdown was a blur.
Yeah. Yeah, and speaking about Christmas, actually, I do want to give a shout out or a mention to the. Have you heard about the carols on the doorstep thing that's going on this year, December the 16th?
16th and 24th, isn't it? It's 2 dates, isn't it?
Yeah, there's 2 dates, 16th and the 24th. Shropshire, BBC Shropshire are going to be playing carols for you guys to sing on the 16th and the 24th of December. And we're encouraging people to go on your doorstep and just sing carols, enjoy the community thing. And this is a beautiful thing that's happened with this. Is it started off as a Shrewsbury thing, but it's going across the country like wildfire. Everybody's like getting wind of this, and I think a bit like the NHS clap thing, everybody's going to go and do some carols. And even if you don't want to sing, you can go out and listen, get some good videos and Snapchat.
There's also the decorate your doorstep thing as well, isn't there? That's in my Shrewsbury this month.
Yeah,
we're talking about that. Decorate your doorstep.
Yeah, so lots going on.
Decorating it with anything in particular.
Well, I'm guessing at a Christmas Eve.
Celebrate the terrible awful year.
I think it's something because I think Brigitta's going to come around and do the photographs again, like a bit like she did last time, photographing people during lockdown and shop fronts. So I think it's linked to that.
Yeah. It'll look amazing.
Sounds good. Good.
So make sure you check that out. And also, I want to give a shout out to the parade shops. We're not there at the moment. Excuse me. Catch my breath. We're not there at the moment. Obviously, we're doing this over Zoom, but we would be there if it was open and the world was open. So make sure that you pop back to the parade when everything is open again. Also, I want to give a shout out to. What's going on here? I want to give a shout out to Chris Goff from CGR Business Solutions, who helped us become an official CIC. If you need any help with any business solutions with him, make sure you check out CGR Business Solutions. Kevin, you've been amazing. Jules, you're always amazing.
Sorry, I was late.
No, it's okay. It's okay. And we're going to cut this short so that my audio can render your audio. This has been a great episode. Thank you, Kevin. Thank you.
You're very welcome.
Thank you, Jules.
Thank you,
Al. We'll catch you on the flip side. There we go.
Definitely.
Yeah,
definitely. I mean, we must do the adult late at night version of this as well.
I will. I'll be in touch right after this.
We need to do that.
Bye, guys. Catch you next time.
Hey.